Um, it's there are lots of people. Um, we're all poor. We're all trying to survive. It feels as though I'm in the 1700s, maybe, and hiding away.
I see. I want you to look down and to describe yourself.
I have these sorts of I have these layers on. I don't really have shoes on anymore. It's like layers of fabric and soft type things that I've tried to turn into shoes.
So you put some fabric to protect your legs.
Yeah.
Very good.
I think I have sabu, like croc type things on. Wooden shoes.
Wooden shoes. Yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
What do you have on your body?
It's more. It's more of the same. I think I have these sorts of whatever layers I could get my hands on. I mean, it's not the kind of clothes that you go outside in the daytime with. It's just what we wear to keep warm.
I see. So you put layers on you. Very good. How old do you feel?
I guess in a way I'm young, but I feel like I've lived most of my life already. I feel like I've lived through so much already that even though I'm young, if you were to hear my story, hear me speak, you wouldn't be able to tell how young I am.
I see. Yeah, and I would like to get to know you more and to hear some of your story. I'd love to learn more about you and what you experienced. How do they call you? What is your name?
I want to say something like Timothy, but it's not the right language.
Okay, very good. So I'd like to go back in that lifetime to another important day. So let's close that scene and drift back in that lifetime to important day. Be there now and tell me, what do you see? You don't have to feel anything, you can just share with me as you see it.
My mom's dead and I just became an orphan.
Hmm.
I'm little, really little, and I don't really get it. And I'm kind of poking her. And she's cold and she doesn't move. Not all the way cold yet. Just she doesn't move.
Mm.
And just I think I have a sense of dread, a little bit of not knowing what to do to
Mm-hmm.
wake her up,
Mm-hmm.
needing, don't remember now,
Don't know.
needing something
Yeah.
simple like to pee or to eat, something like that, and needing her help and not her not waking up.
Mm. So tell me what you're doing there as you do it.
Well, she's on this big bed, and well, it's big to me because I'm little,
Yeah.
and she really does have her skin's so light, and she's so pale,
Mm.
and I
Mm.
don't fully get it.
Yeah.
I think she's been coughing blood for a little while.
I see. So she was coughing blood for some time?
And I think she died of the plague. I'm fairly sure she did.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we didn't call it that like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know where Dad is.
Mm.
I know he's big. I remember him being big,
Yeah.
but I don't. He's not here right now.
Okay. So I'd like to learn more about you and your life. And let's see what's going to happen next. So close that scene now. Closing that scene. Take another deep breath and let go fully and completely. Moving forward to the next important day, the next important scene. Moving forward to the next important place. Be there now. Tell me about it. What do you see?
It's kind of nice because we're playing. I'm with my brother and sister. I only see two of them. I think there's more of us, but I only see two.
Okay.
And I just remember how, I think it's Sunday after church.
Okay.
Something like that. I don't know that we necessarily go to. We must go to church. I just don't remember it because it bores me. But it's kind of springtime, and we're pretending. We're just playing outside. It's kind of warm.
What can you hear over there?
I could just hear laughter and giggles. We're screaming. playing. And
Yeah.
it's nice. Just know for this moment, it's my favorite moment because I it's nice.
Yeah. It's very nice to play around in a nice spring day. Very
And we
good.
don't have that really.
It doesn't
It's
happen
really
often.
life is hard.
Yeah. So
It's
that was
very
a really
hard.
fun day.
Yeah.
Very good. Let's move forward and see what else happening there as it happens. What do you see next?
Oh, we got in trouble.
Hmm.
They're
Where's that?
screaming and we were being too rowdy. That's kind of how it happens all the time. Except we got to play longer this time.
Hmm. Who's giving you a hard time?
Our dad.
Your dad? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's kind of pulling us by our ears.
Hmm.
He's giving us a lesson, and mostly just blank because of the pain of the ear.
Mm-hmm. What did you do that you didn't like?
We ran into some fancy ladies,
Mm-hmm.
and they, oh, I don't, we were just playing, but the fancy ladies, there's a lot of adult things going on,
Mm-hmm.
and then we got in trouble.
Mm. Because of the fancy ladies?
I think there was a policeman, and I know there was adult consequences, but I don't know that I know what they were.
Okay. Very good. Very nice. Now you can take another deep breath and to close that scene too. Let's move forward in that lifetime to another important day. Moving forward to another important day. Be there now and look around you. Describe your first impressions.
I'm confused that I'm there because I don't think I should be there.
Mm-hmm.
I, our dad's in prison. He's so big and he's behind these really cold bars. And I'm not sure why I get to see him there because
So
I
you've,
don't think kids go there.
and your father is in the prison
Yeah.
and you're
And
there visiting him, or what are you doing there?
I don't I don't remember why I'm there.
Okay, what do you see?
It's just really cold and the walls, they're not really walls. They're more kind of carved into the uh, rock, or they're rock, and they're kind of wet because, well, that's just how it is.
Mm-hmm.
And he's there with his big belly and big fingers, and he's angry, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
it's just I'm scared because I don't really understand
Mm-hmm.
what's happening, but someone brought us there.
Mm-hmm.
But I know it's important because when you end up there, you don't come out.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure this is the last time I'll see Dad.
Yeah. Who is there with you now?
My brother, our sister didn't come.
Mm-hmm.
She's with the other little sister. Oh, she's so little, that's why. The littlest sister, she's so little. And so our sister's taking care of our littlest. My older brother and me, we came with a neighbor, maybe? I don't know who he is. She is.
She is. So she brought you to see her father?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A nun?
I
I think she's a nun. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's why we could come. That's why we could come see our father.
I see. Very good. And what do you notice next?
It's just scary adults, really.
Yeah.
They're yelling. Everyone's yelling and hitting and spitting and vomiting. And I don't like being there.
Yeah.
And I just don't touch anything.
Okay, very good. So let's move on from there. You can close that scene. Let it go. Move to another day in that lifetime. Another important day. Moving forward and arriving to the day now. Be there now. Where are you?
I'm kind of back at that first day.
Uh-huh.
I think. And I'm just, this is just living, surviving.
Yeah.
And I don't have a littlest sister anymore. Someone took her. They wanted a baby and they took her. And my sister, well, middle sister, younger sister, she's a help for some fancy lady. So at least she has some warmth and a roof, and sometimes she gets to eat. My oldest brother, he's dead too.
What happened to him?
It was violent. Street something. I wasn't there for it, but someone killed him.
I'm sorry.
We just survive here.
Yeah.
As best we can. And so I'm all alone in my sewer system cave. It's a bit drier here, but I'm always cold.
Where are you now? Can you describe it again?
It's like a cave in a sewer system. I'm in the underbelly of the city. And that's where people like us get to survive.
Is there other like you there?
There's so many of us. The rejects of our society. The orphans and the lower classes.
What is the name of this place, of this town where you are? Where are you?
I think I'm in Paris.
Paris.
I'm not sure.
This might be Paris. Okay. Okay. So what do you see that is happening next? What attracting your attention?
I just have to sleep, but I dread falling asleep because of the rats.
Mm.
And that's how a lot of people die. We don't say it like that, and we don't know for sure, but we know.
Mm.
They bite us, and we die.
Mm. So I want you to move forward to the last moment of your life, your last moment of that lifetime, and see yourself now leaving the body and moving to the other side of it. I want you to look, to share with me, how did you die in that lifetime? Where are you?
And I got bit.
That was it?
I got bit, and there was another bout of that death disease, and it took so many of us, and I was one of them. I was barely 16 or 17, and I had lived so much suffering. And I was just so cold when I fell asleep for the last time. Shivers and so alone. There's so much loneliness. And survival was just a very hard life.
Very good. Now you can disconnect from that lifetime and let go of any feelings from that lifetime, like to clear any imprint from that lifetime and to send them back into the light for healing. And you can connect with your soul, with your spirit. And every lifetime has a purpose and lessons. This meaning of that lifetime. What do you feel was this purpose of that lifetime for your soul?
The experience of great suffering. Of physical hardship. Of loneliness.
Yeah. Beautiful. So it was important for her to experience that. Okay. Very good. So now I want you to drift away from that lifetime, drifting away from that lifetime, and this aspect of you will find peace. You will find what it's supposed to find. I would like for all the consciousness of Naomi to integrate into her body. So I may speak with her subconscious, please. May I speak with Naomi's subconscious, please? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I respect a lot the subconscious. I know it have the records for everything that happened to her in other lifetimes, in the lifetime which she's living now, and all the other places she experienced. And I always ask permission to ask questions. May I ask for her questions today?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Why did you choose to show her this lifetime today?
There are imprints, as you call them, that stay stored in a body, in a brain, in DNA.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been curious as to some memories coming back up and automatic, so to speak, responses and certain aversions to certain things. And she's on the right track. That's where a little bit more clarity, a little bit more confirmation that the memories that she's pulling in up have their value, have their reason to be, and are part of a longer storyline. And that often is reassuring. I'm going to offer that reassurance now.
Okay, tell me more. What would you like to talk about?
Integrating that understanding, that compassion, that knowing that we all, as humans, choose the experiences, or at least the starting point and the general framework of the stories we play out, that understanding that this, in fact, is one of the stories. This very moment in time, so to speak, is a story. That there is a before and that there is an after. That the soul aspects, the oversoul aspects, the non-physical aspects are all here simultaneously and at the same time are in agreement to follow the linearity and the density, the physicality of this experience. And so that there are reasons for the linearity that she experiences, or the stringing along of these experiences from past to present to future is the experience itself that she was seeking to dive into.
Thank you. I know she experiencing sometimes some level of anxiety, that she wanted to know the origin of it and to clear it. Can you elaborate about that anxiety that she's experiencing?
One of the same way that memories come up that are stored in the brain, in the nervous system also aligns to these aspects that are stored within consciousness incarnated in this body. Conscious aspects that may appear to be subconscious or unconscious, hidden away, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And in the same way that you very well know and work with clearing those, it is also important to bring forward for her at this point that the clearing, so to speak, of patterning is in actuality a predisposition, a sort of molding based on other life stories that she pulls from in order to craft this very story that is her current experience, her current life.
Mm.
And so in the body as well, there is a pulling together, a sort of mixing of different body experiences as well.
Mm-hmm.
And in the way that she experiences anxiety, there is a sort of predisposition
Mm-hmm.
to this kind of manifestation of anxiety.
Yeah. So, is there a purpose right now or a lesson for her by experiencing those anxieties that would you like to share with her so she would know and start to either clear or understand deeper?
Right now, what we want her to fully grasp is the importance of the body, the
To
wisdom in the importance of the body, and the wisdom in the body.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She knows to an extent, and we are asking for an acceleration now.
Mm-hmm. Can you elaborate more about what acceleration would you like her to do?
The honoring of the body.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to fully honor, to continuously honor the body.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that comes an initial set of uncomfortable experiences,
Mm-hmm.
and that is where the mind gets in the way.
Mm-hmm.
We honor her for having tried over and over again and continuously trying, but as you would know, there is no try, there is only do.
Mm-hmm.
This is where do is all there is.
So you said the mind comes and in the way. What do you mean by that? What's happening in her mind that is make a challenge to stay
There
in
is a
this?
negotiation.
What's
The
happening? Tell me about it.
negotiation of I will do this later. It was a priority yesterday. It is therefore not a priority today. There is only so much time in the day. This constant reshuffling of the honoring of the body so that it lowers in priority.
Mm-hmm.
That is a predisposition, again, ancestral in this case, but one that is no longer of service.
Uh-huh. Good.
Now, the service is this servicing of the body.
Yeah. What can you do to help her and to encourage her now to make it more prioritized and more joyful and excited way? Maybe you can imprint something that will excite her. Is there anything like that that you can add? replace?
We the awareness itself now is the important aspect in the next 2 weeks. The tools will manifest themselves in a very tangible way that the brain can align to.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Unfolding.
Okay, so this awareness will already do a lot of the job for her, and she would be able to manifest that in the next 2 weeks. Beautiful, thank you. Okay, so you chose this lifetime. Can you elaborate more of why you, if there's anything else about that lifetime that you showed her that's important for her to know and you would like to talk about?
The expectation that life is suffering and survival. It is through so many aspects that this thought pattern, this belief is coming through. And that is one of the beliefs. There are other beliefs, like life is joyful and abundant. Now, one of the experiences for this lifetime is the switching, navigating from one belief to another, and the recreation, in a way, of a story around the new belief. It is an interesting experience to have, and one that can be had now.
Yeah. So in one lifetime, we can choose and different beliefs and change our lifetime according to that.
Indeed.
Wonderful. So what are the beliefs that she can let go of today and replace with the new beliefs that will change her life put her in the best timeline for her experiences?
That she lives in the space of power over, of power imbalance. The biggest learning for you all in this experience of hierarchy is the rebalancing of that inner belief that there is someone that has power over me, or that I need to have power over someone. It trickles and it pervades in so many aspects of the aware and unaware aspects of the mind, as well as the body, as well as the aura. All of the physical embodied aspects of consciousness have the ability to be tainted by that belief. Now, that belief collectively is one that has been explored enough and can be shifted And so, as a collective, the experience of shifting from one to another is an interesting one to have as well.
Yeah.
And at the singular expression level, one body, that belief can be identified, felt, and shifted, healed in a way at different levels or different aspects. Relationships being the most profound and effective way to notice and to invite change and creation in.
Beautiful. I'd like you to help her now with establishing that perspective regarding her boss that she had some difficulty with, and to elaborate about what was causing that difficulties and anxiety that she experienced recently. Would you help me with that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Once again, there are many different avenues through which beliefs can make their way into one expression, one human, so to speak. The ancestry, in this case, is a very active
When you mean, does it mean the ancestor affect her? There's an imprint from her lineage that...
Yes, the lineage has decided, taken on, and expanded upon this belief and experience of hierarchy.
Yeah.
It rings very strongly, even including her parents.
Yeah.
And the sense of powerlessness, or the expectation that there is need to have power over those that are deemed less powerful. That is in her day-to-day physical life still very active. There are triggers that activate this type of behavior, and for her, for many, they lie in the space of a lack of compassion, a belief that there is no love to be had in a particular aspect of the person. So for her, for example, a lack of compassion with regards to what is deemed as imperfect. In herself, first and foremost, a power over of the brain onto the rest of the experiences. Same with the sense of having to hold and to claim truth. And the sense of hierarchy from most truthful to least truthful the need to place herself somewhere along that continuum and to then define those more worthy versus those less worthy based on the brain's understanding at that moment of truth. These are all very abstract. As soon as we step away from that dimension and into another, what is truth? What is truthful? There is no absolute truth based on the dimension in which it is explained. Absolute truth takes on many forms in the sense that it can be translated in different ways, simplified as it is to be explained in dimensions other than that in which it is. And so, her quest for truth, although led from a very deep and meaningful quest for ultimate connection and surrender, is one that is taking on a form of power over. And that power over is a space of disconnection, which then ends up almost, shall we say, backfiring and accomplishing the opposite purpose of that which she intended in the first place. And so having grace there, bringing compassion there, and knowing that that's okay, first and foremost, that that's okay, that the intent and the outcome are not necessarily going to be linear and as expected. And then also bringing awareness that this may be a power over as opposed to compassionate, loving, empathic behavior. And that often, if not always, stems from a space that needs to be looked at inward, inside, not outside, inside. And it just so happens that one being has taken on the role of being a mirror, a very, very clear mirror. And so she stains it in an attempt to have a sense that there is powerlessness, that this is done to her, that this is the exception. The only exception, we would say, is that this being has made a commitment prior to incarnating to share that kind of clarity, that kind of pure love
mirroring
for her.
Yeah.
She's been in that and in resistance a little bit, but also knowing the depth of that truth.
Okay, so to take a deep breath and let go of the energy that creating the resistance. Let go it completely, send it back into the light for healing. As you let go completely, what would you like to replace it with?
Compassion.
Compassion. So take a deep breath and fill up the energy of compassion instead. And allow yourself to let go deeper and deeper. May I speak with the subconscious, please?
Yes.
Would you elaborate about the soul that took the commitment to be the mirror? Which one did you refer to?
The boss.
The boss. So they know each other from prior to this incarnation?
Yes.
Okay.
The
What was
complexity of the experiences, or the apparent complexity of the experiences that she is going through at her workplace, although she is feeling overwhelmed and thinking that there is a need to stop, to remove herself from the situation. The complexity lies in the intertwining, the interconnection, the commitment that all souls in that space at this time have decided to undergo together.
Mm-hmm.
Together. And while this experience, this knowing, and this inevitability that they are all connected at a soul level, is one that conceptually can be maybe grappled at. The experiential aspect of it, one in linear time with human baggage, so to speak, human traumas, human physical experiences, human mental loops, all of the things. When those are overlaid, and the forgetting as well, when all of that is is when all of those things are put together, the brain can quite easily dismiss, or the disconnection that the brain experiences are just not entirely accurate. The disconnection that is the starting contract of a human experience is a strong
one. Okay. So I would like to learn more about the situation in her work and about her role of that in her life, and about your suggestion for her regarding her workplace.
Continue to breathe. Remember to breathe.
Mm-hmm. Let's take a deep breath now and let go of the energy that doesn't serve her anymore. And then anchor in more of the truth and more of the advices, the affirmation that she needs to carry as she is handling that situation. And tell me about it. How can you assist her with her workspace?
We ask for space. Space between the breaths. Space between the words. When anxiety rises, either individually or collectively, the perception that time accelerates can also be present. And as an unfortunate set of consequences with the sense of acceleration due to the flooding of cortisol through the body, then a sort of rationalizing pattern of I don't have time can quickly emerge in her. All that is needed is space. A breath, and then words. A breath, and then listening. A breath, and then letting things sink in. Breath, and then observing the body's response. Breath, and then choosing how to respond.
Yeah.
This
So,
is the key for her.
Yeah. And for many. Yeah. But regard her work, she have the concern in some way that she might not going to continue there. And for one place, she's afraid it might come from their side. From the other side, she almost choosing it herself because of the situation there. So what is the best advice for you for her regard that?
There are a few things, shall we say that, are very experiential in nature in order to be anchored into conscious awareness. For example, one would be the first time you truly drop into your heart. The brain can rationalize and try to explain and come up with as many steps as possible to explain how to do it. Until it is done, the very first time, you do not know what it feels like. And once you know how it feels like, then you understand how simple it is to get there. And at the same time, how impossible to explain it is. So, for her, the next space of deeply knowing is one of ultimate surrender.
Ultimate surrender.
Yeah. And so, little by little, she gets glimpses of surrender, of flow. Flow is more appropriate.
Yeah.
She's in flow more and more.
Yeah.
But surrender, this is a very great brewing ground for surrender.
Yeah. Would you help her with that now? Would you show her a little bit more of surrender and flow like you mean, and make her feel and experience? Take a deep breath and sink in deeper. Surrender deeper. And allow more energy to flow through you, and higher energy, consciousness to flow through. Let go. May I speak to the higher self, please?
Yes.
Thank you. How are you helping her with that?
Everything is within reach. Everything is ready. We have made everything available and ready for always. And as she refines her conscious choosing, everything is shifted and rearranged around this new set of opportunities and of beliefs that she chooses. We are ready. Everything is ready. What happens at the human embodiment, the soul versus higher aspects that you call on, is the physicality and the pulling into the body of some of the consciousness, but not all, and the connecting to all that is. And in that knowing, a deep knowing of being connected to all that is the simplest form of surrender. The space of knowing, the space of knowing.
Beautiful. So now in that space of being connected to all that there is, I'd like to ask you, sometimes she feels like there's a different beings that she channel, and when she's tried to learn about them more deeply, she's being thrown out of the state, trying to learn about their names or things like that. Why is that?
It's just an ego thing for now. There's a balance, a fine balance that each human experiences in the navigating of expanding consciousness, expanding love, expanding heart, embodying more, and at the same time gaining a better understanding and a more thorough, constructive relationship to what can be called as the ego. Now, as one grows, so does the other, and that is just for the person grows. That is just a normal aspect of growth, and there are various ways in which this growth can occur, and one can be in the sense of if you think of a balance, as you bring in more soul to balance, you can bring in also more ego, and you see that often in your world as these big quote unquote gurus, where the bigger the consciousness being brought in, the bigger the ego and the need for recognition and for explaining how right they are. There's another aspect in which when we grow, so to speak, the soul bigger, or embody consciousness bigger into the body, and that this balance is needed of having more ego, you actually in a way pull both closer to the midpoint of that balance, and so they melt into one, so to speak. It's a difficult concept for humans, which are used to contrast in black and white and day and night, and, with versus without. And so the fear can be that as one grows, so does the other. And that is where she holds her fear, because if she can now claim that she knows where from the messages come, then she may end up in that bucket of those with the big egos.
Yeah.
And the exercise and the space in which she's exploring is a slower one of bringing together the growing, the anchoring of more light, more conscious love, awareness, beingness, and at the same time as the ego also grows, for that is again a neutral aspect of being human, but one that is so loaded with labels and perceived consequences. There's that option of pulling both aspects closer to the midpoint, to the 0 point, and that is one path, shall we say, or one direction she's very interested in, and one that in her current linear experience will quote unquote take time, because there are quote unquote other things to do before that can be a simple, again, quote unquote, linear path to take. Because, of course, we all very well know that there are many ways to skip timelines and experiences, but in the simplest linear of ways, there are steps to take to get there, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful. So she mentioned that lately she was doing a lot of like, she called it mostly like shadow work and less kind of light work.
Mm-hmm.
Can you elaborate a little bit from your perspective?
Yes, this is exactly what we mean by linear work versus quantum jumps. Now, she is choosing currently to do linear work, and
Mm-hmm.
that's all very valid and very fair as an experience, if that's the experience she chooses.
Yeah.
And there are reasons why she's choosing that, cognitive reasons, as well as, um, I should say, um, the um, unfolding of the entire universe. There are choices, and then there are certain, shall we call them, destiny points. Uh, the choosing of this experience is both on a moment per moment basis, but it also was a choice in the grander um, play, in the grander um, dance and song of the universe. She chose to play this tune, and she could have chosen, and she can every single moment choose a different tune to play. And this is just one that she chose to experience. There are
Yeah.
many, many reasons for that. And there are many, many reasons why light workers will choose to do what is so called shadow work, the linear work, the pulling, going inward and looking to see if there are any. We'll use visuals that are not necessarily accurate, but provide a good ring point to which other conscious beings can use as a starting point to then latch onto and therefore go to their own understanding. And so
Yeah.
if you take the analogy, again, very limited and all too simple, but if you take the analogy of a garden and and you can add more flowers and it will be a beautiful garden. Now, as humans, you may also sometimes go under the flowers and realize that there are weeds. Now, does that mean the garden is any less beautiful? No, but there may be some, depending on the garden and depending on the weeds, that may decide, some gardeners, so to speak, that may decide to pull out the weeds for a perceived consequence that the weed may have on the garden down the road.
Mm-hmm.
There may not be any consequence. The weed may dry out all by itself. The weed may actually provide a balance to the garden that is needed. Every
Mm-hmm.
once in a while, the gardener, based on his or her understanding of what that weed does, and his or her understanding of what he wants or she wants the garden to look like, to be
Mm-hmm.
like, to thrive, that gardener may choose to go and look for the weeds,
Yeah.
and then may find that the weeds have a very complex set of roots,
Yeah.
and he or she may decide to go down and look for and carve out all of the roots so
Mm.
that there is no longer any possibility that that weed may grow back.
Yeah.
And then that gardener will replace that weed with soil, and it will provide for a breeding ground for the flowers. Now, of course, this is extremely simplified, but this is a choice that all humans get to make. Do we trust that the garden itself will manage? Do we trust that whatever comes will be uh, what the experience is needed for that garden? Do we actively choose to pull out the weeds? Do we just flood the garden with flowers and the weeds will be the ones that no longer mm, take over?
Yeah.
There's not one single answer to this,
Yeah.
which is why there are so many way showers now that tell you just plant more flowers. And that is valid, that is true. There will be other quote unquote shadow workers that will say, pull out the weeds. That will also be valid and true for that experience. What we bring the attention to those listening to now is, what is the intent? Is the intent for the garden to thrive? Because if we don't pay attention to what the intent is, the direction that we wish our consciousness to go, we can very quickly bulldoze the entire garden in search of that one tiny little weed, and everything else gets destroyed along the way.
Yeah.
So the balance, again, always back to the balance.
Beautiful.
Both sets are valid. What is the intent? And that's all. At the end of the day, that's all.
Yeah. So from what I'm understanding today in the session, she does want to experience a little bit of this quantum jump and letting go of this coming back to the same pattern again and again, and also noticing from the beginning if something starts, so she will have some kind of a way to stop it even before it's accelerate to that direction. Can you elaborate about that and help with that process, please?
For her, as for all others, quantum jumping is the simplest thing in the world. It may not seem to be. It just takes the choice. Now, to get to the choice is the tricky part as a human. What is that choice valid? Is that choice possible? Can it really be? Should it really be? What are the perceived costs and consequences? And so she knows, she feels the quantum jump is within reach. It always was. It is there, ready for the taking. What she brings, what she can bring, is the choice. I want this. I want this. And to sit and to give space between the words, to really, truly feel it. I want this. This is the direction that I choose to explore. That's also something worth bringing attention to. That's something I wish to explore. Let's talk of a future. Let's do a little aside on manifestation, attracting things. There are a lot of judgments, and this is also, again, very human, a human experience of many. Saying, I wish to experience or explore, may for some help to lower the judgments.
Would you repeat that, please?
An example would be, we'll go with physical, it always seems to work better for you. You all, as humans, shall we say. I want a red car. There may be judgments about the color, there may be judgments about the item, there may be judgments about the implication on the planet, the implication on family members, there are so many judgments there that can then prevent the being from jumping into that experience. However, the idea of exploring inherently has no outcome, no clear set of outcome in mind. It is a space ripe with opportunities and options, and in the language. That use of language then has a strong potential to lessen the perceived consequences. It is not I am reaching a destination, it is I am exploring for the sake of exploring. And so the perceived consequences, the perceived destinations, are no longer part of the equation.
Yeah.
That is a space that may be easier to reach for some. And yet, there you are with a red car, just for the sake of exploring that state, that experience.
That's wonderful. Thank you for that. Beautiful. Okay. If there's anything else that we saw one past life of her, right? Was it a past life? Okay. And is there any other experiences or lifetime you wanted to show her today?
I wish to give her a glimpse of a potential future.
Okay. Potential future? Okay. You may start, show her, and tell me and describe as you show her. What does she see?
She's seeing connection at a deep, loving, caring level. Her voice has the potential to reach thousands and millions even. The perceived blocks that prevent her from dreaming are no longer in sight in this particular life she chose. She knows how to hold boundaries. She is resilient. And having both those very important tools mastered gives her the space to surrender, to trust. And so she has been trusting. She has been surrendered, flowing so very much, being carried and pulled, and just taking the action when the action is being called for, and just being in a state of being when it is time for that. Taking care of her body as a non-negotiable priority. Taking care of her soul, of her heart, and giving so much love and so much compassion to her brain, that ego part of her. Being aware and being able to voice that to others, which is so very important to her. In that future, she does all of that with grace and ease. There's so much ease. There's so much flow. There are no fears stopping her. And yet, that doesn't mean that all of a sudden she's reckless. It just means that she's the exalted version of who she wants to be. And who she wants to be is someone who shares, someone who connects, someone who speaks, someone who gifts, someone who receives. She is connected at a very deep, meaningful level to those around her. She magnetizes this kind of true, deep, meaningful, transformative, healing, loving, compassionate connection. She activates that in others as well. And that is how she navigates the world. Her voice is heard. The frequencies within her voice provide one of the many pieces of the puzzle of this experience. And it is a beautiful balance of being carried and at the same time being active in the experience.
Wonderful. Thank you for that.
Mm.
Would you continue show her and give her those experiences in the dream state, to anchor that energies more into her being, into her memories, and allow that integration to be deep and smooth?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Would you anchor that also with a light language transmission for her, please?
Absolutely. Alanao senake ateshao tek naoli ne alekaya ne tete kwa malika talia na kalina na shile kalina milita tatali milika talia na kalina tatata say la cararia say la caria say la caria na dia la dia te que o te que say te caliada o o o o say la catia de o amalia na o la mia na o say nakaya.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for doing that. Would you share with me where the origin of that language?
When using human vocal cords, there are certain inherent simplifications and translations, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, there are certain veils that are still have a kind, generous, loving purpose on your planet. There are certain dimensions, certain states of beings, densities, if you will, that are graspable only by certain brains that have surrendered enough for the understanding to come through. That is simply because with the dimensionality that is present in your experience, 3 physical dimensions, a 4th a time, and then a few more that you expand into. They still do not begin to scratch the surface. So we'll simplify,
Mm-hmm.
but know and keep in your heart the curiosity about the simplification and the inherent complexity of this world, this entire universe, this entire beingness. The first was angelic, and again, the simplification through the available vocal cords is such that there may be judgments and expectations for a certain sound to come. The second was galactic. And for now, we'll leave it there.
You can see that you're holding back a little bit from exposing the galactic origin. It's okay.
We're talking about her process. Her process needs to be honored.
Yeah. Okay, we respect that.
More.
Yeah.
She'll understand more the judgment she holds and the consequences and the power over she thinks she holds. And it all unfolds in due time. And that's how I'm assuming, just not right this second.
Okay. I respect. There was anything else? There was galactic and angelic. Did you want to elaborate more, or that's it?
We'd offer for those who need labels. We'd offer a gentle nudge, a gentle suggestion. And that is, try creating your own. Try surrendering in your own understanding of the variability, the difference between the things you receive. You can label it, and if you are someone that has an experience, a chosen experience in which your clairaudience or is such that the names and the person, the being, the energy that speaks to you is clearly labeled, named, visible, then that is absolutely entirely valid for you.
Yeah.
If you are a person who is experiencing the knowing coming through from solely your intuition or God, that is totally and entirely valid and true to you. If you're someone that is starting to notice variability in frequencies and is somewhere in the middle, that is absolutely valid and true for you. I would just say that there is no need to be at either end of the spectrum, right here, right now. We are more interested in having you be curious about what you experience without labeling, based on various belief systems.
Yeah.
That is very important to some of you to know that. You do not need to catch up very, very quickly and study very much and use your brain to be able to recognize the sounds and the messages. What we want you to do is to feel how you feel, and to notice your body, and to slow down, not accelerate, slow down. The acceleration will occur around you. The alignment, the acceleration of the alignment will occur around you. You get to slow down and feel, really, really feel. And the reason we're saying this now is because she tends to magnetize people that have that same experience as hers. So
she tend to what?
To magnetize, to attract.
Yeah,
those in the in between.
Yeah.
And it's very important to know that whatever you do know and whatever you do not know, your heart is your compass. Your heart is your ultimate truth. And you just have to slow down in there, connect there, and from then onwards, all the answers come. Now, the answers do not come in the form in which the brain wants them to come. And that is that exercise that we were mentioning for her about the balancing of anchoring in more consciousness and the balancing with the ego.
Yeah.
And depending on the unique individual and the unique set of experiences and brain and chemistry and body that they have chosen to incarnate into, there will be a different way to that balance, a different route to that balance, so to speak. So, for all the deep breaths, some of you will know where it comes from, some of you will not. Just know that what you allow in and what you feel is your truth. And if your truth is that in this very experience, what she had done did not come from the angels, did not come from the Pleiadians, then that was your truth. And that's okay. Maybe it came from her subconscious. And it was her way of describing her connection to God. And that's okay. It's very important to remember that there will be different truths at this point. It's very important for this collective to remember that those who believe in God and only in God, those who don't believe in galactics, those who have a different frame of reference or a different framework, they are just as capable as you are to love, to anchor in light. They are light workers as much as you are, even if they don't call themselves starseeds. There are many who need to remember this, that there is to have and to hold now a level of compassion for your brothers and sisters that is beyond anything that you have ever been called to hold. Many of you are taking on the excitement of holding this compassion within yourself without probe, just through the sheer excitement of it, sheer love of it. We want to remind some of you at this point that the divisiveness that may appear to be quote unquote difficult in your world right now is all valid. We wish for you to be mindful when you say you hold compassion for people you consider others, and to really question whether this comes from a place of heart or from a place of brain, of ego. And to just know that. Just know, to be aware of that. And if you feel judgment, first and foremost, to just notice there's judgment and then let it go. And then understand that as your anchoring of conscious awareness deepens, so does your ego. And this may be a space in which righteousness sneaks up on you. And that's okay. Awareness is a great exercise in curiosity. That's all we wanted to say for this, for now. You're all doing so well. You're all doing so well. We're so, so proud to be witnessing this change at this time. We're so proud of you all. You should know how loved you are. Drop into your heart and know how loved you are.
Thank you so much for this. I'd like to do a body scan on her and to start healing about the different allergies or food tolerance that she mentioned. Would you do that for me, please?
Yes, absolutely. Let's begin.
What do you find and what are you doing?
We're going to start with the anxiety, for that is the most noticeable imbalance. Our newest imbalance, but one that has taken hold. There is a lot of stress held in the upper body, in the shoulders, a lot of anxiety there. Now that's in part because of her, a discord between the deep knowing of the heart and a willingness to take on and to just surrender to the role of transmuter, which she is one. Transmuter being one that almost acts as a cleaner of sorts, energetically, one that whatever energy goes through them weaves it, reweaves it. So if you were to be given a pile of sheep's wool, would turn it into string, so to speak. That is more or less what a transmuter does at obviously a much more complex level that hardly can be described in words with the words she has right now. So she transmutes, and many of you on this planet do that. Many are transmuters. What ends up happening in periods of high change, especially for the transmuters that may not have the tools to, or may not have the awareness, or may not yet believe that of their worth and their inherent capability to transmute, that they do not bring as much awareness to that part of that aspect of their being. And transmuting is actually Transmuting is a beautiful Transmuting is a beautiful gift. Those who have come to this planet at this time with the intent to be transmuters, and you will notice in your own life that sometimes you choose or you try on that for size, shall we say. Not everyone chose to do this. Some have chose to do other things that are just as important and valuable in the grand scheme of things and in the grand unfolding. The transmuters have a very specific body type, shall we say. Their DNA works to collect and reweave and then release energy back to the environment, shall we say, which is back out. It doesn't get stored. The point is not to store it. Transmuters without tools, and many of them are without tools at this point, can get a little bit flooded because the natural process of transmuting occurs no matter what. But without active awareness and active use of these tools, there can be a little bit of a backlog, if you will. Yeah. And she's not the only one in her workspace that is a transmuter. You see there are many, but none of them currently really have the most effective tools to transmute. And as a lot is being released, a lot is being absorbed by those who have chosen that task. And the process then is best done for those without tools. It's still done. Don't believe that you're doomed. You're not doomed. You're inherently capable. But it is easier done in moments of calm, of isolation, and of sleep. Now, that is why transmuters, which often mislabel themselves as empaths and introverts. Actually, introverts is often, transmuters often believe that they're introverts, simply because what they grab and the pace, the rapidity in the way at which they can cleanse, reorder, or reframe, whatever term you like. They will use reorder the energy before letting it release. That can feel a little bit overwhelming to the body. Yeah. There are tools. There are tools, and we'll share. Oof.
Thank you. You're doing great work.
We'll share it to them.
You may continue sharing those tools.
So we will do two things, for she is starting to get a little bit overwhelmed at the power she has, and the inherent capability to share this information. So we'll start with things that are within reach for many.
Okay.
Those are tools that are used for centering, and they can quite easily be also used to aid in the process of transmuting. First of all, we can use external, so to speak, tools, energy tools. There are certain shapes that are extremely powerful, and when physically crafted, they absolutely aid you and your body in the process. One of them being the pyramid.
Yeah.
So finding yourself under a pyramid, aiming a pyramid at you, that is an incredible physical tool that can aid in that transmutation process. The Mindfulness tools are all very, very useful as well. So, using breath work. Now, be careful with the type of breath work you use. They all have different mm, aims in mind. What the one we are bringing our attention to is going to be simply mindfulness breath, the breath that slows us down. Breathing in slowly and then breathing out slowly. The ones that are typically in the less aware communities used to lower anxiety. Those kinds of breaths are breaths that can also help transmute, because anxiety may come as, or may manifest as a consequence, so to speak, of a lot of that energy coming in to the body.
Yeah.
So whatever classical tools can be used to lower anxiety, they actually help with transmuting energies as well. So um, the, the clear example with her workplace where many are in heightened states of stress, of fear, and of anxiety, um, when she thinks she's attuning to them, that's not entirely accurate for a transmuter. Um, there's also an inherent willingness to take a little bit of that on. And that's where a lot of um, talks of boundaries come up. Now, boundaries are important in the sense of power over, in the sense of balancing um, uh, and regaining power for our own selves instead of giving power away. Boundaries are extremely important, and, and they're not at all diminished um, in this teaching. What we are wanting to bring the attention to is that it isn't so simple. Just the same way that when you learn a new language, there may be one word to tell you something, and then you realize that there are synonyms, and synonyms still have a different frequency, a different um, mm, qualifier to them, if you will.
Yeah.
So boundaries are extremely important in one sense, but in another, when transmuters are trying to set up boundaries, they are in a way they can, depending on what soul purpose they have chosen inherently, and what body, what DNA is activated at this moment, they may find themselves a little bit frozen because they're saying, in a way, two things at once. I am here to absorb, transmute, and let go, but I don't want to take it in.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a reframing that can occur for these, and we know that some listening, maybe not too many, but at least 3 listening, will be able to connect to this message. And that is that boundaries are about power dynamics, power over. Where do you lose your power? So you can set up your conscious awareness and your exercises around boundaries in that sense. However, boundaries are not to take away your own um, role, the role that you chose and that you feel excited to step into. And so, if you're someone that knows that you transmute, you feel it deep within, you know that's what you do, and you know that's why you've been struggling with boundaries, because things still come up somehow, or they still seem to leak, just know that that's not the same. There is a distinction between these kinds of experiences. You may very well be able to say no more. I no longer wish to show up in a relationship in this way because it leaves me drained. And yet you may still feel drained by something else. What may happen is that you have pulled in a little bit too much versus how much you can process at the time. And so when you are in a space of, or in an awareness of active transmuting, it can be as simple as saying, sitting with yourself. It does help. It does help to be in a space of quiet It will not diminish that because of the amount that you can store in your aura. It is a lot easier for transmuters to have space to clear the energy stored within the auric field
Yeah.
alone without having additional inputs constantly streaming in. So in a space of calm, and you should be able to, and if you cannot, this is the recommendation for you. We strongly encourage that you find a space in which you can be only with you and your aura. Now, I'm in the case of Noemi, she actually is not giving herself that. She
Yeah.
lives in an apartment building and is constantly connected to those below her.
Yeah.
So the importance would be to go to a space at least once a day, better before and after, and during if possible, depending on the societal constructs that the person is in. This may not appear possible.
Yeah.
But going to a space where the aura is truly disconnected from other auras. So a very large room and no one below, no one above. That
Yeah.
is the kind of space we're looking for. Obviously, nature, if possible, would be ideal. But rather than saying no to the entire process because one requirement cannot be met, we will say just find the grace you can and do what you can with what you start with. And then
Beautiful.
things will unfold beautifully to give you more and more of what you seek. So, first, is there maybe an empty room in an empty building, or a house, or the neighbor's house, or maybe, of course, nature. If you can go into a forest, if you go into a park, wherever you can go, that you are alone.
Yeah.
And then you do your breath work. Then you do your centering, heart center, heart center, heart center. Get yourself in a space where, and use these tools, these breath tools, to lower the anxiety. And then you can just call in the intention. Again, your body knows, your body has been doing this ever since you were born. So your body knows how to do it. What you are going to be doing is accelerating the process, whereby you say, rather than beat yourself up for feeling anxious and not yet having the boundaries up, you say, I now transmute all energies that are within my body and within my aura. I transmute them back to light. Well, some of you know of these transmuting tools. Some of you use the violet flame. Now know that you, in a way, are the violet flame. What you're doing is you are bringing your awareness, so that if a little piece of your consciousness is thinking about your grocery list, and then the other piece is thinking of that previous interaction you had, you bring them all into alignment, and they all work together, and it is going to be very, very fast. We can guarantee that. Very, very fast. I transmute all energies within my field.
Beautiful.
You can look outside for help again, but you are the transmuter.
Yeah.
You do that within yourself. You don't need to use a lot of qualifiers. You can use, and you should probably use, qualifiers when you're starting to play with things you don't fully grasp, just because it brings a lot of peace to your heart and to your mind and to your body, knowing that you are only tapping into love and only tapping into light and only tapping into healing. And when you're talking about your own self, you can do that too, but you're talking about your own self. So you already understand your relationship you have with your body. I transmute. That is a space of power. That is a space of beingness. I transmute. It is also a space of doing, but in the energy world, not in the active 3D, 4D, 5D world. So this is the biggest and most important thing for Noemi to know at this moment. And she just felt it. She knows now how instant it is and how powerful it is.
Yeah,
So
beautiful.
what we wanted her to do and to know is how she can heal herself. And we will just complete with one more blast of energy, just because there was a lot that she held on to without transmuting in the past few weeks. So
Yeah,
we'll
let's
just
complete that.
clear that
Thank you.
energy and allow the flow of what we call the chi back to flow, to balance. And we'll do that.
Thank you. Please continue doing that. And as you clear her completely from all those energies that she collected and transmuting them, please also work on her allergies and the food tolerance that she was asking, and elaborate what can be done for her today.
As we work on this, we will simply say that we're not going to tell you something you haven't heard before, in
Okay.
the sense that ingesting food is ingesting energies, and certain energies, depending on the being, ingesting them, and depending on the source of that food, and the inherent and the associated frequencies with that particular food item, are such, or items that you pass as food that are not in our standard and understanding food anymore, not fuel for the body, not the discord of that item is almost greater than the nourishment it provides.
Yeah.
With all of that, you know, and um, your students know that already as well, that you ingest various frequencies, and the nourishment that comes from that, um, depending on the item, can be better suited for a particular body type.
Yeah.
There's nothing new there. Um, the stubbornness of humans and hers here is, um, in continuing to eat those items that are maybe not best suited for the body type she has. And that's it. It's fair to have it as humans. It probably may feel like a fair statement to say different bodies have different needs, and to have this sort of understanding. And so the allergies are not allergies per se, so much as clear signals, um, that the nourishment to discord ratio is is maybe tipping on the discord balance for that body, for that being. There are many reasons why discord becomes greater in certain um, food foods at certain times for certain people.
Yeah. Would you like to give her clear guidance about her diet? Is there anything that she need like that to tell her what not to eat anymore or what to add more that can be very beneficial for her?
We told her this a few weeks ago, and she's been um, anchoring the idea as a memory, as a knowing. But it is again, a well-known concept for you, dearest, that the eating local foods has great benefits for the body, in terms of the body being a part of that ecosystem. And as humans have explored and experienced globalization of food resources, ecosystems are no longer necessarily local and or balanced. And the body is part of an ecosystem, whether it, at the cognitive level, you may disagree with that concept. On a physical, earthly level, the earth balances itself in that way. And you being, in a way, a cell of the earth, it is a little bit easier on the body to eat local.
Yeah. Beautiful. Very good. Thank you so much for this information. I wonder if there was anything else that was important to bring to her awareness, to help her, that you would like to add.
You are about to soar beyond your wildest dreams, so stop limiting your dreams. It is time to just surrender. Surrender.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else? Any of her ancestor or light being or guides who would like to come in to give another message before we complete today?
Not at this time.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Would you check